Alrighty. And where are we? Why is this not going? So, just a quick ride today. Just 1 hour recovery. I was thinking I'm not even going to do it because I watched back my video from yesterday, just like the after ride part, and I thought, kind of said everything I needed to say actually, despite, brain kind of being fried at that point. It's like, I was thinking, I don't really have anything to add. It was a decent analysis. But then I thought, well, I said I was going to do it, and then if I don't do it, maybe people will think, like, oh, is he upset about it, or, whatever, is that why he's not doing it, or, whatever. So it's just like, I'm not. So a very short stream here. But, because as I said, I kind of said everything I needed to, but, yeah, overall, so yesterday, for those joining now, yesterday we did the final Everest of this block, of this first kind of section of the year, and did 722.47 for the Alp. So people are asking yesterday, is the Alp slower than the radio tower? And yes, 100%. For several reasons, but it's I've said this before, but the radio tower, the average gradient on the radio tower is 13.7%. And the Alp is less than that. On the Alp is 9, something like that. 9 point something. Anyways, don't quote me on that, but it's less. So, simple fact is the radio tower is steeper. And so, there was some confusion, people thinking, well, like, what, like, I don't understand, what's that mean? Like, why is it shorter than, and it's like, it's just math, right? You're gaining more meters quicker, the steeper the hill, right? So, if you have a hill, if you were to think of it like this, like, and I know this is really obvious, but it's just so everyone gets it. It's like, if you had a hill that's 1% gradient, right? So just like a little false flat, basically. If you had that, and you said, okay, go out and do an Everest, the amount of distance that you would need to cover to accumulate 8,848 meters would be insane. It would be like doing an Everest on Tempest here. If you said, okay, so climb Tempest, or like, ride Tempest until you hit 8,848 meters, it would basically be like saying, like, okay, so, ride the equivalent distance of, going across Canada, and then you might be at it. Like, look at the distance or the elevation right now. So we're 4 minutes and 15 seconds in, and I'm at 5 meters elevation gain. 6. Holy jumping. At this point in time on the radio tower, 4.5 minutes in, I'm at 150 meters. So, the Alp versus the radio tower is the same thing in that the radio tower, it only takes 130 kilometers of riding, 135 kilometers of riding, to get to the height of Everest. Whereas on the Alp, as you saw yesterday, it's a little bit over 200 kilometers. So naturally, it's going to take you longer to go 200 kilometers than it is to go 130. And so there's no, oh well, the Alp could be faster. No, it's going to be slower. It's 70 kilometers further of a bike ride, with the same elevation gain. Right, both have 8,848 meters. One you're taking 130 to cover it. One you're taking 200. Right, so the radio tower's 100% a faster climb. But the way that Zwift works is that although there's kind of like one leaderboard to things, of which right now at the moment I'm number one in the world on it. Technically not though, because the way I was told was Magnus's time was like, it's down as like a 10,000 meter, but there was an Everest time as well, so it is the record. It's just they're moving it over from one to the other or something like that. I don't know, but it's the record, and so it'll be number 2 in the world, the Radio Towers climb. But I got the email yesterday that from Andy at Everest. I had sent him some info on Saturday for verification purposes, and everything was approved. And so yeah, right now, as of last night at 7, right now my 537 from the week before has been approved and in the Hall of Fame. And right now, until Magnus's time gets up there, right now it's the number 1 Everest in history. And that's why my name for a short time will be 537 Everest, because it has been made official. And it's on the official website. And so, let me just start to warm up. Ow, ow, ow. This is a look. T-shirt with bibs under. But anyway, so what was I saying? Radio Tower's quicker, but there is just one leaderboard, is what I was saying. And so but if you look further into things, you could see there are some people who have done it on Radio Tower, some people on the Alp. And so in my mind, like yesterday, going for 7:20:27 as the goal time there to beat Michael Knudsen there. The Alp kind of, if you look further in, has its own times, because the Radio Tower will always be quicker, and so there are basically specific times for specific climbs. It'd be hard to find a place that I felt comfortable, like safe doing it. Like, it's also finding the right hill. Yeah, I don't know. You'd have to find the right hill to do it, one that's steep enough that you gain a good chunk, but then also safe, right? Because I know, like, I've heard some people doing it at Cedar Caves there in Collingwood. Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Yeah. And so I know, like, Paulina did it there years ago. I remember seeing her YouTube video on it. And it's okay, but I do remember in the video her going like this, like when she's wanting to make the turnaround, and to me it's like, that's a little sketchy. If there was a car coming quick and you're like in a rough spot or something like that. So I'd like to do, if it was really quiet there, then maybe. But I don't know. I would rather, if I was doing it, I would go somewhere. Like I would go somewhere specific where like I'm virtually guaranteed, like, yeah, no cars go on this road. And so, you'll be safe. So that is why I like I guess they do maybe the Sittingham or something. Maybe. If it's up Sittingham does have, I think, a better turnaround at the bottom. But then how steep is it? I've been up Sittingham several times when I was at McMaster. I don't remember it being that steep. That you can really, like, put a fast time on the board. We'll see. Who knows? I would need to research. Yeah, Sittingham's probably it, like out of Dundas there. And, cause, yeah, that's the climb. I did that climb almost every day. Like, when I was at school there. That was, like, one of my two routes. I would either go 8 on King Street there, when I was at my own place downtown. And then I would go out to Fruitland, Niagara type, like Welland. So I would go out that way if I was doing more TT kind of riding. And then if I was on like just for a longer ride or something, then I would always go Sittingham up there and then go into the kind of country roads in around that area. And Sittingham's good descent, so I mean I could see it being pretty good, because I do remember normally I get kind of sketched out on really, really fast descents with turns in them, and Sittingham never actually freaked me out. Like, it was a pretty straightforward, easy descent, good road surface. And so I wouldn't rule it out, Derek. I would need to look more into it though, in terms of like what exactly the hill looks like elevation wise. Like, and how quick you can actually go. I'd also probably want a different bike. That's the other. For sure, if I was doing it, I'd say I wouldn't be doing it on my TT bike. And right now my road bike is not been put together. And it's an old road bike. So if I was doing it, if there was a bike, if anyone's watching from a bike store and you got like a pretty lightweight Trekkie Monda or something like that, even just like one of the lower versions, if you got one that you want to lend to me for a day, and to just absolutely mangle an Everest outside on it, I'm here. Send me a message. But yeah, my road bike is 15 years old now, and I mean, it wasn't a top-end bike when I first got it, so what's going on with you? Making a weird sound. That was my thing, one of the things yesterday. So after the ride, it was really weird. When I started the cool down, I noticed like the pedals weren't turning super smooth, and then I got off the bike, and it was after I finally warmed up in the shower. I came back downstairs, was gonna clean up, and my cranks were not spinning at all. First I thought something was wrong with kind of the trainer or something like that, the back end. And so I took the chain, just like I unhooked the chain, and I gave the cranks a spin just on their own. They didn't budge. They did not move at all. And then I looked at the preload on the non-drive side there, and it's almost like the preload must have like tightened itself. And I'm thinking maybe did sugar get to it, that it's like it's seeming like it's tighter than it actually is, because as soon as I backed off the preload, then the cranks spun again. But it was really weird. And so, being a perfectionist person, I was like, was that like that, like on the whole last couple climbs? It definitely wasn't like that early in the ride, because when I put the chain on after waxing it beforehand, like the cranks were spinning beautifully, and I was like, wow, these are really smooth. It's spinning really nice. But yeah, it was after in the cool down, something happened there where, as I said, it's almost like the preload tightened itself, like to the point that it was binding, but like really binding, like really tight, way too tight. So I backed it off like a 1/16 of a turn, and then the crank just like spins for days on these ceramic speed bottom brackets. It's just like going and going and going beautifully. And it's like, good, there you go. Don't know what happened though before. It was really strange. Anyways, getting back to yesterday. So 7:22:47. I'll read out just my notes that I took. I added it up last night and this morning. This was pre-passing out. So, climb number 1. So I'll just list off the powers. The times are irrelevant, really, but they go 286 on the first, 287 on the second, 291 on the third, 295 on the fourth, 296 on the fifth. So you can see it's like it's building perfectly. And in terms of time, 4150, 4140, 4106, 40, 45, 40, 30. So we've gone from 4150 down to 40 30s with the 296. So through 5 climbs, the ride was exceptional. I will say, overall on the ride, I was thinking about it last night, I felt much better. You remember that simulation ride that I did, where I did 5 of them? I felt much better on that ride than I did yesterday. I felt like yesterday, like, it just felt like, it's not sluggish, but like, it felt like I didn't have as much power in my legs as I would normally have. Like, even on the sections where I would get out of the saddle or something like that, like, it felt easy, but I felt like it was lower power than usual, just in my legs. Then, like, compared to the last time, like the when I did the 5 as a simulation run, I mean, I felt much better during that one than I did yesterday. Yesterday felt fine. Like, it wasn't like, oh, it's feeling hard, but it was feeling like there wasn't as much get up and go as the last time. They were still good, but the last time when I did the simulation, they were better. And so then through 5 climbs were beautiful. I think through the halfway we were bang on 720. I might need to tighten that preload a little bit after. Well, after the ride, I'm taking the bike apart anyway, so whatever. But through the halfway, we were bang on 720 pace. And then so it's like, okay, on the pace, and now we're getting to the point where we should start, like, we've pulled even with it, and now it's to the point where we should start to put time into it. Like now, in the second half, trying for a negative split. So that 5th climb, which is above the halfway, that one at 40-30. Okay, now we're putting significant time in, because 40-30, if we add 10 minutes and 45 to it, So 40:30 plus 10:45 is 41:15, 51:15. So 51.25 times 8 plus 20. So you're on to 7:10 pace. So on that fifth climb, you've put about a minute, let's say, into the time. So you're probably getting to the bottom of that, say something around 7:18 pace. So in that range, 7:18. Number 6, this is when things started changing a bit. I felt through the halfway on 6, I was around 295 again. And remember, I think I said at the beginning of the 5th, or at the end of the 5th, when I hit 296, I said, okay, so I went 295, 296. Naturally, this one should be 297. And that was the first one where I didn't hit power. So I was 295 through the half on that 6th climb. And then I started feeling a bit fuzzy in the second half. And the power dropped to 292. Still above pace, like putting time into the record of the 7:20:27 time to hit. So still putting time into it. But as I said, the second half of that climb, I was starting to feel like, and I think I said it on the stream, I'm like, uh-oh, that felt hard. That was the first one that felt hard. The second half of it, that is. And then it showed on its 7th. The 7th was the one where that was kind of like the breaker on the day. So that one, all these other climbs are going 41:50 down to 40:30 and 41 flat. And then the 7th, 44:38. So with that one climb, gave back virtually about 3 minutes in one climb. And so that one was 266. So 286, 287, 291, 295, 296, 292, 266. And you can see it in the cadence too, that fatigue is setting in, because the cadence was going from 73, 73, 72, 70, 70, 68 on that 6th, probably second half of it, starting to tank, and then 63 on that 7th. So it's basically, when I get down into 63, 62, that means I'm essentially I'm trying to allow the weight of me to produce power. I don't have any giddy up in the legs, and so we're just trying to like muscle up the hill, essentially. And the 8th climb, that was the one where I said on the stream, like, even though it was the 7th that did it, the 8th climb was a painful one in that it was a good comeback overall. Like, it was, like, on paper, if you look at it and you say it was 277 in the end and 280 normalized, it was, like, on paper it looks good, but the middle section of it really hurt the record thing. And that was, I said it yesterday, and I know I'm repeating myself, but in case people missed yesterday, starting out that climb, I was doing the math, and I thought that, okay, if I keep this pace, it's going to be around 44 minutes. And so I added 44, what I thought was 44, to the time that I was currently at that point. And just the fact that it's like you're exhausted, and you are kind of, or I was kind of bonking at that point, not kind of, was, like, I have really low blood sugar at that point. And so unfortunately I just added 34 instead of 44. So, and I thought I had added 44. So when I got to the 17-minute mark of that climb, I had thought, based on the calculation that I did, I had thought, hey, you know, I got 10 minutes on this record, which obviously doesn't really make sense, because it's like, if at the halfway point I was bang on 7:20 pace, and then 5th and 6th, you know, maybe put me down to 7:16 pace, you know, something like that. So say you're starting the 7th climb at 7:16, on pace for 7:16. If you keep, it's like you got a very small buffer, not 10 minutes though. Like, it doesn't really make sense, obviously. It's based on that logic, it's like you put in a huge amount in the last 2 climbs alone. And so, yeah, I thought I had more time than I did. And you even heard me, like, I'm like, okay, it's okay. I'm going to use this time, I'm going to recover. I'm going to take some fuel on, because I could feel like I'm getting really low again. So I'm going to use this little bit of a buffer, and I'll take it. But, as I said, it turns out that I didn't have a buffer. Now, it is kind of easy to say that was obviously a mistake. But then it's also like, well, the second half of that climb I did really well on. I put the power back to 283 on the second half. So the first half of it was 270. Second half was 283. So, as much as the recovery really hurt, it allowed me to actually get back in the second half. And on the final climb, I mean, I don't know if it was what allowed me to do the final climb, or if the final climb was more just pure adrenaline. And just trying, like, everything I could to get back up, like, back on the time, even though it was unlikely. But it was like the adrenaline. But regardless, it's like, I don't know, like, if it tanked it, I would probably say that it was the 7th climb, in reality, the one that was 266, and lost 3 minutes. I mean, I was 2 minutes shy in the end, so that's 3 minutes right there. It's not so much on that next climb, where it was gone. But it was annoying, because, as I said, it kind of eats at me, because I thought I had time. And so it bugs me, because it's like, you didn't have time. And I said it yesterday that on the Alp and the radio tower, similar, if you really back your power down a lot, the hill is just so steep that you're going to go so slow. Like, you have to put some power out to get any sort of speed, right? Like, it's like outside. Like, if you're going on a super steep hill and you're like, okay, I'm bonking or whatever, I'm going to back it down to like 100 watts, right? Let's just say. It wasn't 100, but just as an example. If you're on a super steep hill, if Derek's still watching, like, if you're on that one, like, in Mansfield there, like at the ski lift, if you said, okay, I'm going to go 100 watts up it, honestly, I think the bike would tip over. I don't think you would actually make forward progress. It's just so steep that, like, you need to put some power to get anything. And so, when you're on really steep climbs like that, if you're going through a rough patch, it's not like a little loss. It's not like, oh, you know, I went through a rough patch for a couple minutes, so, you know, I might have only lost, or in this case, 5 minutes. Oh, so I only lost maybe like 20 seconds. It's like, nah, if you backed it off for 5 minutes, you probably lost about 3 minutes in that 5. Like, a crazy number, because it's like, you're not moving, right? Your guy's gonna be going like 8K an hour. And so, you're gonna lose a huge amount of time really, really quickly, is my point. And so, yeah, overall though, that final climb was really strong. I was really happy with it. on the final one that I was able to push as hard as I could there and get it back going. That was a good, really good way to end. Looking at that 7th climb, that one that, you know, we're on our way up. You know, we're building from 286 up to 296. And then there's a little bit of a falter down to 292. But it's still good. And then there's that big dip to 266 on the 7th. It's the latest that I've gone into it before having that, so that's good. Like the last time I did the Alp, it was on like the 4th. This one's on the 7th, right? So went significantly longer in, and then it's like I'm not sure, like when you're going after such a time, and it is going to be an aggressive time no matter what, like it's just going to be hard to have it be a perfect day, right? You need to have everything, the stars align and everything be perfect, basically, for you not to have something like that happen, right? And so I'm not like saying, oh well, you know, it's impossible, or, you know, really disappointing that I had that happen. It's like, I mean, it's gonna happen like once in a while, and it's still gonna figure out the puzzle. How can I figure out the nutrition so that I don't get that happen, or I reduce the chance of that happening? But someone said it yesterday too. It's like, I mean, I'm going pretty damn hard, so, you know, it's going to be really hard to just completely say like, oh, I've eliminated any potential bonking. It's like, it could happen, you know? And so, because you're going so hard, it's a hard effort for that long. And so, I mean, if you said to someone like, yeah, no, I bonked crazy hard on my last ride, and someone asks like, also like, when into that ride did you start kind of blowing up a bit? And it's like, if you said, oh well, you know, it was at like the 6.5 hour mark, or like the 6 hour mark, let's say, it's like, I mean, that's pretty good, right? So you went 6 hours deep, you know, pretty much holding like 4.8 watts per kilo for like 6 hours. So it's like, it's pretty deep in. It's a good effort. And that's what I say to it from yesterday. It was a good effort. It was a good ride. I don't think that there's any shame in saying, and there shouldn't be, of saying, yeah, so the climbing time, if I add them all up, adds up to 5 hours and 54 minutes. And for 5 hours and 54 minutes of climbing time, it was 287.5 watts, or 4.7 watts per kilo, for, let's just call it 6 hours. 6 hours at 4.7 with the blow up, right, of the 266, right? Even with that, it's like, that's a lot of power. That's a high watts per kilogram. It's a really good time. And so I think yesterday's still positive. I still like it, and I'm not saying like, oh, I'm just going to keep everything as is and just hope it doesn't happen. No, I'm going to keep trying to figure out how to reduce likelihood of having that lull in energy in terms of sugar. But overall, I think a really successful couple weeks, where I will say, like, doing the one that day where the computer crashed on me, that one really hurt. Like, not only mentally, because it's like I was on for, you know, 5:32, I think I was on pace for, and then to have the computer crash with the legs feeling unbelievable on that ride, that one hurt a lot. Mentally, but then physically, because it meant that by the time I got to yesterday, And I said this to my dad on Saturday night here. I said, because like this is virtually 3 weeks in a row where we're doing an Everest. Even though the computer crashed on me that day, I still rode half of it and then spun around for an hour, like just easy cycling, and then I did an LT1 effort up the Alp to try to get a good training stimulus in still. And so it's like, even though it's not an Everest, it's still, if you add the Alp in at the end, it's still 5,500 meters of climbing on that ride. And critically, I prepared for it that week as if it was going to be an Everest. So even though it didn't get fully done, it may as well have, because I prepared for it. And so mentally and physically was preparing all week. And so then when you think about yesterday, it's like, that means virtually you've been going for 3 weeks in this kind of preparatory kind of phase. And that's fatiguing, right? To be basically be like if you think about it like an Ironman, which I'd say, you know, these Everests, especially the Alps one, is pretty close, I think, in kilojoules and whatnot to what an Ironman would be. Very similar. I know people who have done both and have said that the Everesting is kind of right there. Actually, I know one person who said that it's harder, but if we think about it, they're similar. And to say like you're doing 3 weeks in a row of that's a lot. And so I think that first ride where the computer crashed, that one hurt a lot in terms of the overall, because it did take a lot of energy. And then it extended that phase out by an entire week. So that one hurt. But I think still did a really good effort. And proud of it in the end. And got a great training stimulus going forwards. Which, this is great. I got it caught by a group. Finally, beautiful. 1 second. So, yeah, overall, it was a good day. I got no kind of, oh, that sucked or whatever. It was a good day. It was a good day on the bike with the warm-up and cool-down. You're at 8 hours and 15 minutes on the bike. And I said it yesterday, overall, September 12th, I had major hip surgery. And so the fact that here it's doing 3 Everests, almost 4 if we consider the one that got canceled, crashed halfway within basically a 5-week span. I don't think the surgeon or anyone would have thought, yeah, so, early, not even in the spring, kind of, you'll be doing, 8-hour bike rides and 7-hour bike rides, and not just kind of doing them to finish, but challenging world records in the process. I think is really good. So I'm overall quite happy with the phase, the big block, and now it's time to move into the next, which unfortunately this week the weather here is horrendous. It was snowing yesterday, and then this morning when I was on a walk, there were flakes of snow coming down. And it's for goodness sakes, it's April 20th or whatever. What the heck is it snowing for? This week was supposed to be, this is why I'm saying, this is the week that I'm supposed to be starting to transition towards IRL racing. And I was really wanting to get outside, and I still might later into the week. And I really hope, it looks like it's going to be really cold mornings, but then nice in the afternoons. And so I think it'll be thank you. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. The fact that it gets warmer means probably just layer up, and I'll have to drop the layers somewhere. But I really would like to get outside, so I'll announce here. You guys are the first to know. I'll announce it on Instagram later. The one race that is locked into my schedule so far. There'll be others around this one, but the one that's like 100% is I'll be doing Canadian National time trial in the third week of June there, and so that's in Quebec. Same course I think they had last year, and so I'll be doing some tries around that time as well, but it's finding which ones exactly to do around that time. There's a lot of options, so it's good. But then the one that's for certain, as I said, that's like marked in on the calendar of like, yes, is Canadian National Individual Time Trial. And so when I say trying to transition, it's time to get outside. And not that I won't be inside anymore, but working the position, testing various things out with my position. I think my position overall will be quite similar to what it was last year, with the few additions, which you'll see in a video on this channel coming out probably on the weekend. And so actually, yeah, after the ride, right after the ride here, so I don't get too tired, because I'm probably gonna collapse in the afternoon, because I was tired this morning. I had a good swim this morning, but I was quite tired. 40K, yes. Yeah, so a 40K TT. So that'll be the first one. And I think, yeah, it's on a Thursday, something like that. Third week of June. I'm pretty sure the time trial is on Thursday. If I had a road bike, I would add the road race in as well. But I'm not sure my road bike is really race ready, in that it's like, it's an entry-level bike from 15 years ago. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, so the time trial for sure. And yeah, so I'll get outside and test some of my new things that I have in mind. Do some aero testing. And yeah, with that, right after this ride's over, I need to get this bike ready to go outside for, hopefully, I think Thursday will be maybe Wednesday, and then do testing on Thursday. Something like that. But yeah, as soon as this ride's done, 34 tooth from the Everest challenge, 34 tooth comes off, 62 tooth goes on. And then, so a bit of a, it's a jump for sure. Seeing this 34 is aggravating, I will say. It bugs me, seeing this little tiny thing. And so it'll be nice to get a proper chainring back on. And then I gotta put my brakes on, because one of the things that I do in the winter time is I take the brakes off the bike, like fully off. Not only the calipers, but cables as well, because you don't need them on Zwift, really. And I just trying to take anything off that, if I don't need it, I don't want to even give it a chance to get exposed to sweat. And so need to put those on this afternoon. and yeah, get the wheels out, change the tires on the wheels, because there's still the race tires from last year, so I'll put just some Contis on, and then I do need actually a wheel set. Right now I don't actually have an actual, like, a training wheel set. I have several different race wheels, but I don't actually have anything that I would be like, yeah, let's train on it. It's like, I got 3 discs, like disc wheels. I got 3 of them. I got a lot of really deep wheels, but no, just like a 30, a 40, something like shallow. So I need to end with carbon, because I do find it annoying if the training wheels are like the one I have on now, which is just like box section aluminum. It's really annoying going back and forth, because on the aluminum wheels you can't use the brake pads that you would use with the carbons. It would just destroy the brake pad. And so, and if you were using the other on that, like the aluminum specific on the carbon, also bad, very bad. So if I'm going back and forth between aluminum wheels and carbon wheels, really annoying, because it would mean that before every single ride you gotta change brake pads, and it's just like, ugh, that sucks. It doesn't take crazy long, but it's annoying. It'd be nice to just peel the bike off the trainer and start riding, instead of being like, oh, I gotta change the whole setup here. It's like, I just want to ride, you know? Like, let's go. Well, it's still daylight. Let's go. Got about 13 minutes to go in this guy. So yeah, that's what this week. Everything starts kind of transitioning towards outdoor racing. And as I said, there'll be some tries added into there as well. Those will be in June and July, and it's just coming to a decision on exactly which to do, because there's a lot of options, which is good. Yeah. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I'm missing? I think that's good. I think I said everything I wanted to say. Probably more. Typical. I do need to get a front hydration system still, because the bike is currently in like UCI time trial format setup, and so I don't actually have a front hydration system right now for try, and so later today gonna get that one purchased, and then the rear purchased as well. The rear is expensive, man, holy. But yeah, I'll get those too, and hopefully this week, like, put in the orders. And yeah, they'll both come from the UK, because we don't sell anything good in Canada, so they'll both come from the UK, and so then the bike will be ready to go. I actually don't think that there's a single product on my bike that's from Canada. Even the frame, the P5 frame, which you would think, oh, it's a Cervelo. So they used to be Canadian, not anymore, but when this was bought it was. Even that, it came from Arizona though. So I don't think that there's anything on the bike from Canada, literally, which is annoying. It'd save so much money on duty. Here's, if I go into my full aero position, this will be it. Look at that. Disgusting. My nose is touching my forearms, and I could see you up there at the same time. Right now I'm looking at you. I'm looking at the screen. You think my head's buried? No, I'm looking at you. No problem. Beautiful. It'll be quick. In the end, yesterday, I added everything up. I still gotta add up the jubes, but without jubes included in the mix, and there were a lot of them, it was 137.5 grams an hour. So there's a lot. So in terms of, oh, I just didn't take enough, that's why the 7th was rough. I don't know, that's a lot. Should be enough, but maybe I keep bumping it up more. But I forgot yesterday, I think it was, I saw Matthias when I was looking at the stream afterwards. He had asked, is it bloating like the last time when I said it felt like I was just sitting in my stomach? This time, no. My stomach actually felt quite lean afterwards. Like it felt like, just looking in the mirror afterwards, was quite defined. Still, actually looked thin, if anything. Like, very much so, considering how much fluid was in. Like, I looked lean, very lean. Just looking at myself in the mirror yesterday, like right after the ride, that is. So it wasn't bloating like the last time. This time I think it was getting absorbed. It just maybe just wasn't enough. Maybe needed more. And so maybe we bump up to like 155, 160. Because with the jubes, it's probably like 145. Because I had almost like half that little thing. I had a ton. Probably 30. So 30 jubes, whatever that is. It's a lot. But yeah, I'm going to do the bike thing, get the bike going right now. So I'll have lunch, like just kind of standing over the bike here. And yeah, start it now because I anticipate that this afternoon I'll be exhausted. Anyways, so I think I said everything I was wanting to. So I'm gonna keep going until 40. But stay tuned for a video coming out likely on the weekend with details on the outdoor stuff. And so yeah, I'll put that out this weekend, hopefully, if the weather's all good and I can pull the drone out and get some shots. Oh, what was that? But yeah, so that'll be it until then. And again, like I said yesterday, thanks so much for everyone for the support on the stream. It looks like we had 1,000 people tune in at some point in time. So really, really great seeing that. And yeah, if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. I would love to get to 1,000 some point this year. That'd be really nice. I'm gonna need a big bump up for sure to get there, but anything's possible. And so I'm gonna try, even though the Everest scenes are done, I'll try to do consistent videos still on the channel. And yeah, we'll kind of document the journey leading into try season. First try since 2022. So it's been a long time, and I only did one that year, so first really since 2021. So it's been like 5 years. And so we'll show the journey heading into that. And heading into Canadian Nationals time trial in June. And so yeah, I will shut things down for now, and I'll catch you on the weekend, hopefully, again, assuming the weather's good enough to ride outside and we don't get any more snow in late April. I don't know. Insanity.